The reaction of the window. My wife and I went through a previous separation in 2014. I moved out to an apartment to give us space to heal. We seemed close to divorce then, but we weren't seeing other people and we missed each other so much I came back. I took some courses, read some books, and over the next year evolved into what I believe to be a great husband. By the second half of 2015 I thought we were doing great. We planned a trip to Italy for summer 2016 as a second honeymoon. But around this time of the year last year, she started talking about splitting again. Her mother calmed her down, and we went on the trip as planned and had a fabulous time. The second half of 2016 was honestly like a dream. So many trips and events, spending time together all the time. We watched all of Lost, talking about what we'd do when the kids moved out, etc. Come December, her mom had a heart transplant and was at the hospital for a month. During this time, I was very supportive and visited her mother often. I felt the model husband and very much part of the family. But my wife says seeing her mother go through that heart transplant convinced her that life was short and she needed a fresh start. In January of this year, she got a promotion, so for the first time she has a viable enough salary to be on her own. So, you guessed it, I got the "I love you but I'm not in love with you" speech. She refused to touch me. Trying to keep the marriage and family together, we agreed upon an open marriage. At first, things were good. She was getting lots of attention from guys but hadn't met any of them yet and was taking out all the attention on me. Our physical life was never better than it was in February. But you guessed it. Once she started having physical contact, she withdrew from me completely and moved into the guest room. I told her to cut it all out. She wouldn't. She moved out and got an apartment. So, she's still seeing this guy or guys, and now she hosts at her new place. But yet this past weekend, I went on a date while she watched our daughter, and she got extremely jealous. Is that normal? She refuses to go to counseling. She refuses to stop seeing her men. But yet when I asked to get the divorce over with, she came up with all sorts of excuses. Work is busy, she was still buying furniture for the place, etc. Is it normal for a woman to separate but not actually push for divorce? Maybe she's just worried about actual financial independence. I've always taken care of the bills. It's hard to believe that my wife of 14 years just dumped me for these other married guys, but here we are. You're absolutely right. I don't want her continuing to be hitched to my wagon in any form. I just keep thinking I'll wake up and it's all a bad dream. Honestly, I haven't gotten a lawyer yet because it all happened so damn fast. Tomorrow, friends, I will make the call. The part I'm really struggling with is all the love and affection she gave me during the good times. Does what's happening now taint those memories? Are women sometimes this fickle? A few updates. 1. I have some closure now about how the good times seemed so good yet here we are. I believe she suffers from depression and has highs and lows. Her mother's heart transplant triggered her low. 2. She gave me a little more detail about who she is seeing. One married guy and one very unmarried guy. The unmarried guy works on the same street she does. He apparently makes her laugh. 3. She claims she is breaking off with both of them and just wants to be alone. Apparently, the unmarried guy is very upset. 4. I met with a lawyer. Divorce would be absolute financial ruin for me. It turns out my best option, financially, is just to stay separated. She hasn't indicated that she will push for divorce anytime soon. 5. We're getting along civilly. Right now, assuming she insists on a 50-50 split, I lose the marital home, and with $2,000 a month additionally going to her in child support, I might have to move in with my parents. The child support may not end for another 12 years. I discovered why the child support equation sucks so bad. It is calculated with before-tax numbers, not actual take-home pay. Also, I received some stock options the past few years that I cashed in recently, inflating my salary far beyond what it actually is. If I wait a few years, those cash-ins won't be held against me and the child support figure will be much lower. Oh yeah, forgot the other piece. She only went back into the workforce a year and a half ago. Her salary is still on the climb. Mine has stabilized. Every year she's going to gain on me, making the child support distribution more equitable. The lawyer went over that with me. My daughter is young enough that child support is the only issue I need to be concerned about for many years to come. She is in 4th grade. If she doesn't go to college, that's 8 years of child support. Community college, 10 years. 4-year school, 12 years, which is the max because you can stop paying when the child reaches 23 anyway. If we divorce in 12 years, I may have to pay 5 to 10 years of alimony instead. However, like I said, her salary may be much higher at that point. Plus I can argue to the judge that she's been living apart from me for 12 years and is used to her standard of living from her own salary. The math to decide to divorce now would be the expectation of huge earnings up ahead that I don't want to split with her. But since my child support would be $24,000 a year of after-tax dollars, I doubt it. I'll review the numbers anyway. Maybe I don't need to move in with my parents. We still have joint credit cards, but we're communicating very well about upcoming purchases. Otherwise, the money and cars are all in my name. I think I'm doing the 180 pretty well so far. If she's not lying, she's actually broken off contact with her cotter of men, which is a start. It gave me real chuckles to see her get so jealous when I started dating again. Also, her inner storyboard is feeding her all this stuff about how she wasn't happy in the marriage and tainting all the good memories. Yet I'm being my usual jocular self with her, keeping things tension-free, and basically making it harder and harder to tell herself that she didn't enjoy spending time with me. I mean, she called me at 6:53 a.m. today, ostensibly to ask about our daughter, but she's starting to find excuses to call all the time now. I never ask about our future, I never indicate I'm going to stop going on dates. She sees I'm losing weight. We'll see where this all goes. She's gone, she's not coming back. I get that. So, from that sense, it isn't limbo. I'm moving on with my life and actively dating to find the new love of my life. I just need to plan this just right to not get financially crushed. I admit one thing occurring to me is that if I push for divorce, she is more likely to push for every last penny than if she starts the proceedings, especially when it comes to not wanting her kids to lose the family home. It's only been a month. When dealing with an issue of this magnitude, I need to take my time and get it right. An unknown factor, of course, is losing out on the new love of my life because she won't date a separated guy. I'm keenly aware of that problem. Mass is at fault divorce, but it doesn't affect the financial split. Yes, I make 4x as much as her right now on years with stock grants. She has her own apartment. Honestly, what I need to do is 1. Figure out how to get custody of our daughter Sunday evening through Friday evening, all school nights. If I have custody 2/3 of the time, the child support goes way down. 2. Figure out a way to deal with her share of the equity in the house. Perhaps she would be amenable to avoiding selling, refinancing it until such a time as the children no longer need it. It's not in my nature to stay angry with anyone. I can't keep up a wall artificially. I'm a loving person and I don't want to change into a bitter one. Also, my mantra is you are where you are, you can't go back, so I make the best of the situation I'm in, which in this case still involves a lot of child handoffs and occasional dinners for the 4 of us. Update: after I went on a date on Tuesday, she completely freaked out and started talking reconciliation. I told her if she sets up a couples therapy appointment for us, I will attend and in good faith, suspend dating others during the duration. My therapist also told me it would be good to be completely over this relationship before I start another, and I admit a big part of the thrill of starting to date again was to not feel the pain of my marriage ending. Come Thursday morning, I asked about the therapy appointment, and she was in one of her dark moods and said, "Oh, we're talking about that now. I suppose we should go, just to get closure." So yeah, she's either manic depressive or bipolar, but either way she's in a dark place. It's a holiday week, so next week is the big week. We either go into therapy or we hammer out the separation agreement. What I'll do next week with her if she doesn't make the therapy appointment. It probably makes sense to discuss asset division and child support anyway, even with the therapy. I drew up a list of all of our assets, so I'm ready. I think the other thing is that I have a lot of happy memories from this 14-year marriage, and if I cut her off completely, I'll have no one to share those memories with except the ones the kids remember. By keeping her as a friend, I can still cherish the good times. She doesn't want me to detach because otherwise she'd be utterly lonely in this world. But frankly, every night she makes a choice to stay separated in her apartment. If she really wanted to patch things up, she'd start apologizing and asking to move back in. Plain and simple. She's definitely not interested in therapy and has said many times she hates therapy. And right, while she indeed may suffer from mental issues, there's no point in entertaining reconciliation if she's not seeking help for them. You guys are toughening me up, which is good. Not in a defiant way, because I can't keep up negative energy for long, but in a sobering, realistic way. Hopefully tonight we can sit down and talk money. An update: my wife and I met to discuss splitting the finances. I'd say it went well. She agrees to let me keep assets I came into the marriage with. This means the entire down payment for the house I keep. She also is being very reasonable about what she needs for the child support payments. We have 2 kids, one of which is autistic. We are going to continue to be good parents. I have resumed dating. The biggest obstacle is not my separated spouse but my daughter, who still wants to be able to see me every night, even on the nights she's supposed to be at mom's place. It's hard on her. Tomorrow my estranged wife and I meet with a mediator to work on the separation agreement. I am starting to think that lawyer I got advice from really wasn't very good after all, because I've been reading up on the internet about child support payments and custodial parent versus non-custodial parent. I think I'm the custodial parent. I stayed in the town that my daughter goes to school to, and that is paying for my son's residential placement. I stayed in the family home. I have the family insurance plan. My daughter stays over 4 nights a week, the minimum for being able to attend the school system. So according to the calculator, she will end up paying me child support. That actually makes sense. She's the one that just left. Our next mediation session will more fully cover child support, but here's the gist. We did a worksheet and it looks like between our 2 kids we spend $24,000 a year. Hard to believe the number is that high, but there it is. It includes all camps, health insurance, all classes, memberships, lessons, after-school care, clothes, electronics, saving up for our daughter's bat mitzvah, etc. Therefore, the fairest model would have us each contributing $1,000 a month to a joint account to pay for these expenses. So, if I end up having to pay her say $17,000 a month in childcare, then I would imagine it will be her full responsibility to cover every possible child-related expense. Because essentially of the $2,000 a month needed for expenses, she'd be paying only $300 out of her own pocket. I'll report back after our next session. I'm so worried. Childcare, unlike alimony, is not tax deductible. Update: I've been texting with a new lady and we match up pretty incredibly. Fingers crossed that when we actually meet, there's real chemistry. It's been over a year since my wife and I separated, and I've come to terms with the fact that our marriage is over. It's still hard to accept that someone I loved and built a life with for 14 years could just walk away, but I've found peace in knowing that I did everything I could to make it work. We've settled into a routine where we're civil to each other for the sake of our daughter, but there's no longer any love or affection between us. We've both moved on with our lives, and I've even started dating again. It's been a slow process, but I'm finally ready to start exploring new relationships. Financially, things are still tough. I'm paying child support and alimony, which takes up a significant chunk of my income. But I've learned to live within my means and make the most of what I have. I've found joy in the simple things, like spending time with my daughter and taking long walks in the park. Looking back, I realized that our separation was a wake-up call for me. It made me take a hard look at myself and what I wanted out of life. It forced me to become more self-reliant and independent, and to start building a life for myself outside of my marriage. In many ways, I'm grateful for the experience. It's taught me resilience and given me a newfound sense of strength and purpose. Story 2. There's no guest. Some backstory. My wife and I have been together for over 12 years, married for 5. We started dating in the middle of high school, throughout college, and another year after college before we got married. We're both 28. She's a military officer and has all the responsibilities that go along with that. We have a nearly 2-year-old son who has had some major health concerns over his short life, though it looks like we'll be out of the woods soon in that regards. She recently returned from a 9-month deployment, which was rough in terms of the separation from my wife, but it was manageable because I moved back to where we grew up, where our friends and family still live. We also tried to video chat every night if we could and emailed or chatted regularly. Towards the end of the deployment, I started sensing more and more emotional detachment from her. Due to the holidays and being separated, I know she was having a rough time, just like I was, but all I wanted to do on Friday night or Saturday night was to talk to my wife. She, on the other hand, wanted to go out and hang out with friends. Eventually, it got to the point where we would video chat maybe once or twice a week, and the emails got shorter and the chatting for more sporadic. One of the nights when we were chatting, I logged into her email and saw that she was flirting with another guy who she had met while on deployment. I confronted her about this and she said it didn't mean anything and promised to end it. I know she still talked to him while she was deployed, but I expected the communication to end when she returned home. Unfortunately, now I know that is not the case. In fact, I know that she had an affair while she was deployed and that she's making plans to see him again in a month or so, on the auspices of visiting her college roommate, best friend. When she got home, I could still sense the emotional detachment. She has said that I am overly dependent on her and that she needs me to be an independent person before she can figure out if she still wants to be with me. We both came to the conclusion that while we loved each other and cared for each other's well-being, that we were not in love with each other, and we weren't sure how long it had been that way. She says she sacrificed a lot of what she wanted because of our relationship and not wanting to upset me, such as studying abroad in college or not going for a more operational billet when her orders came up for changes. She said that she doesn't think I can figure out what I want or become an independent person while we are still together, so she wants a separation. With a son who is 2 years old, I told her I don't think that's the only viable option to figure out what we want out of life. We haven't been fighting these last 2 weeks as we are keeping things pretty cordial for the sake of our son, but at this point, I'm at my wit's end. I started counseling last week to work on my dependency and jealousy issues, and I've asked her to go to marriage counseling with me. She agreed at first and now is unsure if she is emotionally capable of handling marriage counseling because of how much emotion counseling brings out. I should note that she is a mental health professional, so she has background in the field and thus knows what will occur during counseling. Military rules aside regarding adultery, I don't want to ruin her career. I just want her to be honest with me about everything so I can move forward with my life, whether or not it includes her as my wife. With a child in the mix, I know I will have to deal with her for years to come, so I would rather things be cordial. She has not told me about the affair, but as an engineer she should know better than to try and hide things from me. I suspected from the outset that there was more to it than she let on, so when she returned home, I was able to better grasp what was happening. At any rate, I'm not sure what to do. I just left my job again to move back with our son to be with her, yet she is not emotionally with me and she isn't sure if or when she will be with me. I know she fully intends to separate from me. I love her still, and she meant the world to me, but without the honesty and communication and emotional connection, what is left in a relationship? She said she is going to start individual therapy to work through her own issues, yet I don't know how long I'm willing to sit and wait for her, and she hasn't set a timeline on me making changes of my own. regardless of if things do work out between us, and I truly hope they do work out. The changes I'm trying to make will be good for me either way in this relationship or in the future. I'm sure I've left stuff out, but that's all I can think of right now. Small update, more info on what's been going on in my other thread in the infidelity forum. We're talking more. I've confronted her and she cut things off with the other man, supposedly. I want to work on us, but she doesn't think she can commit fully to our relationship while she doesn't fully know what she wants out of life and our relationship. And she doesn't think she can figure that out while we're still together, so she is pushing really hard for a separation. Originally, she said it was so I could figure things out myself, but now she says it's for her to figure things out. I don't know what to do. I'm still in love with her, I want to be with her, but it hurts every day when I see that she isn't fully committed to us and working on us. Wife just returned from deployment. We had some rocky periods while she was gone, especially the last few months. I wasn't there to emotionally support her when she needed me because I was having my own misery to deal with and I was looking for support from her. She emotionally detached from me and I caught her flirting with a guy she met while deployed. Confronted her, she said it didn't mean anything and would end it. Fast forward 6 weeks when she gets home, I find by looking through her phone that she's still messaging the guy and the chats get more explicit and imply things that had happened. I found an email she sent to him after she returned from deployment about the good times they had together and all the things she liked about him, including the physical horizons expansion. Find out from monitoring her chats that they are planning on hooking up again in about a month when she goes to visit her best friend in Florida, and he's home on R&R, as well as her making plans to return to the deployment site for a different friend's promotion ceremony. We've been on the rocks, yes, but it feels like she came home just to burn down the house with me in it rather than try to work with me on what is going on. I'm going to my own therapy to work on my issues that she pointed out to help me grow into a better person, and the changes will help me in the long run, but I also feel like she's only really pushing for those changes so she doesn't feel as bad about leaving me when she decides she's given me enough time to change and doesn't see the results. I love her and care deeply about her, but I don't know if I can recover from the infidelity, especially as it continues under my nose. I don't know what I'm going to do at this point. Do I want to ruin her career? No, not at this point. I'm not vindicative like that. As far as informing her family and friends, I've reached out to some close mutual friends about what is going on and they have all been pretty supportive of me. Honestly, I just want her to come clean about everything rather than me forcing her to come out. Part of me holds out hope that we will reconcile, especially with our 2-year-old son in the mix, but the more I think about it, the more I know that isn't likely to happen. I'm angry, trust me I am. I had serious anger management issues in middle and high school and have since learned to control it and channel it elsewhere. I'm screaming for sure. I'm just not sure how I'm going to approach this with her yet. I'm an engineer by trade, so I analyze and figure out the best approach after getting as many facts as I can. On the rock was a lot of bickering about little things from our past, arguing about respecting boundaries and needing space. The biggest thing I could point to be a significant drop in communication, emotional detachment, and short fuses on both sides. Aside from the keylogger, the only thing I would be able to do at this point is to get a private eye to spy on her while she is in Florida. He is still deployed and will be in Florida for a couple of weeks of R&R when she is planning to be there. I'm just trying to figure out when the best time to do it is. We are both part of a wedding at the end of February and again at the end of April. The wedding in April is actually her brother's wedding, so that will be quite awkward overall. Oh, don't get me wrong, I suggested we go together and she was dismissive of it, saying that it was a girls' weekend, though she was planning on taking our son too, since her friend has a kid about a year older than him. But they were planning on going to Tampa for Saturday night or Sunday night to celebrate the friend's 30th and leaving the kids with the friend's husband. As for going to the promotion ceremony, I said I wanted to go back down there too, to go scuba diving, since we had gone to visit back in October, and she was kind of like, well, I'm not sure if she was actually going to go, though I'm certain she is. He might not remember the argument specifically, but he would have this sense that arguing and yelling is okay. She is a great mother overall while he's awake. When he goes to bed is when the conversations with the OM pick up. I don't know what my real goal is for leaving him with her. If I left, I would be 3-5 hours away, so it would be hard to see him. Maybe making her realize how hard things are to take care of a kid by herself. I want to be able to say to myself that I exposed it because it was for the best, not to hurt her. Right now, if I exposed to her family and friends and command, it would be vindictive. Like I said, I will talk to my therapist on Thursday about what I should do and what is the right course of action. I know everyone's situation is different, so there is no right answer, but I just don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I am angry. As I said before, my anger management issues from my past have led me to channel my anger in other ways. I've almost picked up the phone and called my dad to come down with the SUV so I could move stuff out, but I want to do that after I've confronted her. I don't know if I can take her back. I really don't have a clue where that stands. As far as separating, I would rather not break up the family, but it looks like that is going to happen either way, so I want to do that on my terms. Our relationship. Best friends since high school, started dating junior year, dated throughout college, married a year after college. Over the years, my own sense of self has melted away to a sense of us as a couple. I put my career on hold when she stays at home with our son, who had some pretty significant medical issues when he was born. My own self-worth seems to be derived from who I am in relation to her, which is why I'm having such a hard time pulling this trigger. There isn't much else to say. I've been very focused on our relationship throughout, trying to do the nice thing here or the nicer thing there. Submitted report. Doubt anything will come of it, but submitted anyways. As for me, I have an older brother and 2 younger sisters in college. Edit. She has an older brother who is best friends with my brother. Irony abounds here. And we all used to play soccer on the same team together when we were in middle and high school. Edit 2. My parents are still together, though they've had their problems. Her parents are still together as well, even though her dad had an affair many years ago. She's still checking back into her command this week, so she's home for the day, ostensibly so I can get some work done for my job and not worry about watching our son before we put him into daycare in a couple of weeks. Obviously, I'm having a bit of trouble focusing on work. I doubt anything other than a no-contact order will occur after I filed my complaint. I only filed with the Navy, so I'm not sure if I should file with the Army too. As he is a reservist, I'm pretty sure it will be rug swept on that side. I know I cannot reconcile with her while that crap is still occurring. I make decent money, nothing spectacular, but definitely can live comfortably. I met her in middle school, high school, the summer between. We started dating 2 years later and have been together for 13 years now. I was originally in ROTC in college and decided that I wanted to be more hands-on in my job than being an officer would provide me, given my degree, so I stopped. We stayed together even though I knew she was planning on military as a career. I told myself we could work through it. Call it teenage enthusiasm, call it foolish thoughts, call it what you will, but there are plenty of people who work through the military lifestyle just fine. I confronted her tonight. I told her that I knew there is more to it with the guy. I knew she had an affair. Yes, I snooped and monitored things, but her secretive nature led me to do it. She said she knew I was snooping and reading her emails. She has felt disconnected from me since November, and she had hoped when she got back that she would check back into the relationship, but when she saw me and our son who was asleep in my arms, the only thing she felt was for our son. She had hoped that over the last couple of weeks that things would click. I let her go on for a while before I asked my obvious question of how do you expect to reconnect to me while you are still flirting with him? She didn't really have an answer for that. We talked about a lot of stuff in our relationship tonight and how we just don't know what we want and where we want to be. I told her that I was hurt and pissed off and more than a little ready to end things, but I didn't want to close the door. I told her if she wants any opportunity to reconcile our relationship, she will need to end things with the guy and cut off communication. She sat and thought about this for a while, not really responding. I asked her while she was thinking, you don't know if losing either is worth it, do you? She said no. So, I sat for another 5 minutes as she thought and drifted in and out of dozing before I finally got up and spoke. Well, you know what I want. I'm not saying we will reconcile, but to have that door open you have to do this, and I walked out to the office. She detaches from her emotions easily, so as upset as she may have been tonight, she didn't show it. She didn't show much in the way of emotion at all, actually. Throughout our 2-hour conversation, the only times I saw anything other than flat affect was when she laughed at something from our past that we were talking about. I don't hold out high hopes that we will reconcile, but again, the door is there. It's up to her if it's closed or not. I have started the divorce steps, meeting with a lawyer later this week. I told her as much this morning. I told her I am not waiting around for her to decide because that is disrespectful to me and our marriage. The ball is in her court if she wants to even attempt a reconciliation, but I have contacted a lawyer so I can figure out what my options are. She seemed in even more shock about that than anything last night. I told her what my ideals were in terms of a relationship and family, and if she cannot commit to that, then I know what I need to do. Sucks. I'm still in mourning over the relationship, and I know this, but this isn't healthy for me or our son if she isn't in it 100%. She is seeking help herself to figure out what is going on with her, but as I told her, I'm not going to wait around while she cultivates a relationship with someone else. I'm starting to pack my bags and making plans to move me and my son back to northern VA to be with family. Quick update. After I packed, put things in my car getting ready to leave, she comes home. Said she thought about things all day, went back and forth and weighed the choice she would have to make between us or him. She ultimately said she decided to work on us, so she sent him an email saying she wouldn't be in contact and that she was going to try to fix out marriage. I didn't end up moving out as we talked all afternoon about stuff. She said I was right and that she never gave us a chance after she got back from deployment, and that she was afraid to because she was scared she would still be in love with me while being in love with the other guy, and that she would be stuck and miserable. Our conversations have been more open and honest over the last couple of weeks. She says that while she knows she loves me and cares deeply about me, that she isn't attracted to me and that she feels no romantic feelings towards me. She doesn't know what she wants out of life or a relationship, especially ours. She also said that she feels like we missed out on the carefree clubbing, partying days, and that while she didn't think it was important at the time, that she wants to have that time now, while in the future she wants to have more of the family time type of vacations. When she first said that, she said with you, but when we talked about it later, she said she doesn't have an image in mind about who she's with, just that she wants that family time. She is pushing hard for a separation so she can figure out what she wants, because she is unsure if she's unhappy or unfulfilled in the relationship and why, and she doesn't think she can figure that out while I am around, because she doesn't think about it unless she is alone. Personally, I think that's a bunch of BS, because while we've been back together for almost a month, it really is almost like we are completely separated emotionally, except for when we have those conversations. So as far as I can tell, she has broken off communication with Dion, unless she's contacting him from work. She still talks to her other friends from deployment who are in contact with him, so I don't know if they are passing messages between them or not, but a couple of things are for sure. She's not happy in the relationship. I'm not happy because she's not committed 100% to us and working on us. I told her that I feel like she still has feelings for Dion and that it's painful to sit here and watch that. I don't want a separation, by any means. I don't want to split apart our family. I don't want to put any more space between us, as we are just not getting back to really communicating. We've reestablished that friendship that we built our relationship on, but the romantic relationship is pretty much DOA, and I don't know how to resuscitate it, if it even can be. I've talked to my close friends about it and some of her close friends who are mutual friends. I don't want family involved because they already have boundary issues, and I just don't want to deal with that crap right now. The only person I think knew about the affair from deployment she talks to on a regular basis, and I am 99% sure had an affair herself while on the deployment too. And when she's back home in a few weeks, actually lives a couple of miles from where we live. I've told her that it bothers me she even still has him on her Google Chat contacts list, and that to get over him she should remove him from that list and remove all possibility of contacting him by accident, whether drunken night or whatever. I told her that I feel like divorce is an escape hatch that I would rather not use, but she has to be committed to us for that to not be an option. Been a little busy. My son had ear tubes put in early March, and they scoped his airways and found that his trachea is barely opened down by his lungs, so it's been round after round of doctor's visits, sleep studies, etc. I've barely had time to breathe, much less get on here and talk to you guys. We're looking at likely another surgery within the next couple months to help with his breathing. Here's the current status. We're still together, slowly working on our relationship. Not necessarily for staying together, but just overall improving communication and figuring things out. As you can imagine, with everything going on with our son, we haven't had much time to really focus on us and if we're going to work out. I've worked on my own dependency issues and am at a point now where no matter what happens with us, I'll be fine. Sure, if she decides that she doesn't want our relationship, I'll be hurt, but I'm not hinging my happiness on her. I've started focusing on being a driver in my own life and not a passenger in hers. I applied and got accepted to a graduate program which I can do partially online until I run out of courses to take, then I would have to go to campus. I took pictures for a friend's wedding and am looking at setting up a side business doing that. Started biking and playing soccer again, which has helped me refocus my energies. Overall, I am in a much better place, and that's all that matters. Being in limbo sucks, but I laid it out for her last night. We have 3 options right now. 1. Commit to the relationship and work on it. 2. Stick in limbo. 3. End it and move on with our lives. Right now, I want number 1, and am willing to deal with number 2 for a while longer, but I will reach a point where I am done, and I don't want to reach that point. She doesn't want me to reach that point either, but she just doesn't know how to get to a point where she can choose number 1 without thinking she's giving in. I basically told her this: look, I love you and I care deeply about you. I want things to work between us and I want to be married to you, but limbo is killing me. I will be here for a while, but I will reach that point sometime, and then the decision isn't yours anymore. So anyways, that's where things stand right now. I'm not focusing on the other man anymore. I'm not focusing on what I did to cause this, because really no matter what I did, she has to own up to what she did. I'm focusing on our relationship and whether or not we can move forward with it. She hasn't left. I told her if she doesn't want the relationship that she can leave whenever she wants. I'm not tying her down. So, something is keeping her from doing that, aside from our son, as she can take him whenever she wants to. She's been open and honest with me about what she's up to when we're not together. She's opening up to me more about what she's feeling rather than running to her friends and telling them everything while leaving me in the dark. It's small stuff right now, and obviously I want more than just the communication, but it's getting better. My comment: it's good you're doing stuff for yourself now and working on being in a better place. She is still driving though, and even if you aren't in the passenger seat of the same car, you're driving right behind her and hoping she's going where you're going. She's still in power, still stringing you along, and you're still allowing it to happen even though she's clearly in the wrong. That's likely a big part of the problem. A wishy-washy "I may decide to leave you at some point if you don't make up your mind to stay with me" is not really a projection of strength.